Aloha and welcome to Betty's Real Estate Corner, brought to you by Sakamoto Properties, where prestige is our business, reputation our foundation. Today in the studio is none other than Dean Otto, who is just returning from a trip to the Portland area, which we want to talk about a little, because a lot of our friends, our much younger friends like Dean, are sending kids off to college for the first time. Now, we did that a long time ago, been there, done that, but it really is a powerful moment, I think, in anyone's life. So in a little while, we're going to talk about that. But I think to start with, how about a quick hello, and let's talk a little real estate and stuff.
Hey Betty, thanks for having me today. Good morning.
Good morning.
What are we talking about today? We're talking about government shutdowns, all kinds of happenings out there in the news this morning as I came back from a great trip to Oregon, as you mentioned, and back into the real world of
government shutdown.
Politics.
You know what is hard for me on that is, there's so many things and it's hard to get into them on a show like this. But it's hard to totally get it. I mean, I can't totally understand it, whether this is right or that is right. You want to believe that we've elected some powerful representatives in our government, and that there is a way to make things work. But it does seem like we've hit an impossible situation, and we've got a couple of factions warring against one another.
Right, it is a bit of a crazy situation. I think, we can all sympathize with both sides, I think, is part of the problem. I think I don't think anyone denies that everyone having health care is a good thing. But I think on the other hand, too, I think there's a real question about, how do we pay for all of this? And it's two good opinions, and the resolution, I'm not sure exactly how that's going to be worked out. Part of the problem really is the politicking going on, and I think that working towards a resolution should be the primary goal, and we should hopefully get away from the politicking here soon and move forward.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, there's so many things that have gone on in the government that I think we don't understand totally. I mean, if you just take the logic of the national debt, it's huge, huge, huge. Other countries hold huge amounts of debt for us. Well, that doesn't seem good to me. I mean, I don't like the idea that China or any other country holds these millions, billions of dollars worth of debt. And I don't see how we're ever going to pay for it if we keep going in some of the directions we're going in, except that we keep creating more debt. And we all know with our own little personal checkbooks, you go along and there comes a point that if there's no money coming in and there's no money to go out, and you can only borrow so much money until you're in total danger and bankruptcy.
Well, we're definitely in the danger zone. Next week we have our debt ceiling expiring, I guess is a good way to put it, and the need to raise the bar again. And I think it just brings to light the fact that we're fairly irresponsible, I would say, as a country, in the sense that we're not managing our checkbook like all of us and anyone else who has a business is required to do. I think there should be demands made to be able to operate this country like a business. And just continuing to write checks and borrowing more money really is not a solution. And I think it's time, and I think there's a lot of people out there that also believe it's time to become a little more responsible and start looking at how do we pay for all of this.
Well, I'm with you. Again, I certainly am not one sitting here saying I've got some great answers or great ideas or great thoughts. I can't say that I do, but again, I think it's the simplistic. I remember the movie Dave, where they bring in the little accountant from Minnesota or somewhere that actually just takes the budget and goes through it. No, we don't need this, we don't need that. It almost seemed that was more realistic than what we see going on. We need Dave.
We need Dave. And I think Dave and his sharp pencil would be a great idea and a good time, because, as I say, we're sort of snowballing here, and I think there are a lot of people who are very concerned about this.
Well, I think that's probably enough said. We can probably just make somebody angry feeling we're taking one side or the other. And at the moment, I am not specifically taking a side, just the logic of I can't run my checkbook that way. And as a country, I think we've got to stop running our checkbook that way. Let's make it simple.
And I think both sides have good points. I mean, as I say, I don't think anyone denies that everyone having health care is a bad thing. Everyone, I think, would like that. I don't think that's the issue. The issue is that we're looking to our politicians to sit down and resolve the situation, not to be politicking for future votes.
Well, I think you're right. So let's find something easier that nobody will get mad at us for talking about.
Oh, and taking a kid to college is easy?
Oh, gosh. No, actually, maybe we should hit that now, because that is interesting. I can't even imagine Dean right now has a son who is probably now a few inches taller than he is, an amazing young man that anybody, there's nobody that wouldn't be proud to have Troy Otto, your son. He's absolutely amazing, powerful kid, sings, plays the guitar, does a little bit of everything, and all of a sudden he steps out of your house. It's got to be dead quiet there.
It is pretty quiet, although I still have a 13-year-old at home, but it's almost surreal not to have him in the house. But we're very excited about his future, and the University of Oregon we feel like is a great choice. A little bit of bias from my side, having gone to the university myself, and my wife actually went as well. So we had a ball dropping him off and visiting with our friends, and we still have a lot of friends and connections over there that we always look forward to going back to Eugene to visit. So it was a great time. You know, Troy comes from a little island, you know, in the middle of the Pacific to this big 30,000 student university. His graduating class was 17, and he's arriving at a school of 30,000 kids. And you would think it'd be overwhelming, but he seems to be doing fine. It's an interesting time. First couple of days in the dorms, he had a ball. I'm just hoping that he'll make it to class. But he's definitely settled in and seems to be enjoying life.
Well, he's a bright kid, and I think he will settle in and enjoy it. He was top of his class at Maui Preparatory Academy in West Maui, which is a fabulous school, and has done amazing things with the kids. They excel in so many things. They excel in sports and music, obviously in their schoolwork. So great school. And I do say Cassidy, Miss Cassidy, I'm sure she can take over and satisfy the noise of 2 kids in that house.
I don't think there's any problem there.
No, I think that's good. But I think
she's quite the singer, so she definitely keeps the noise level up.
yeah, she's also Maui Prep, and I think it's been a great school. Dean is the chairman or president of the board there, and he's worked tirelessly. It is something at Sakamoto Properties we've all worked at, having something in our lives and the community that we really get attached to. And Dean, you know, was one of the people that was formulative in making the school happen, getting it actually to where it is. I mean, now the school starts at pre-K and goes to graduating from high school. So having said that, I mean, your kids are in a fabulous school, and I think they are prepared, even though that mentally and the number of people and the kids and the competition will be different. I would say Troy is prepared.
I agree. I think Maui Prep has done a great job for Troy. He's very mature. He's had a great education. His grades are really good. He did good in his SAT scores. But I think more than anything, Maui Prep is a unique culture to Maui Prep that I think is very interesting. We're not purely academic. We really are concerned about growing the character of the kid, creativity, critical thinking, 21st century skills. These are all skills that we teach at Maui Prep, and it's not just about getting a great education, and it's not just about getting your kid into college, it's about getting your kid graduated from college. And there's a maturity that comes along with that experience in college that needs to be grown in those early years. And as I say, it's not just about memorization and regurgitation. It's about developing the character and preparing kids for life, not just for university.
Well, I think that's totally true. But I also do think that the preparation for university is vital, and it is something that all our schools need to work on, because the kids want to get into the university, but they also need what you're kind of, I think, referring to as the life preparation that will make them able to step into the school and be able to excel, because they have been taught. They've been taught how to behave with people, what to do. I think there is something special that you guys at Maui Prep are doing.
Yeah, things like public speaking and communicating is clearly stuff that we focus on. The university, the school is going through an interesting time. I mean, all non-profits and all private schools have gone through a difficult period with the economy down. Maui Prep has been fortunate to be able to to grow during these difficult times. And we're continuing on planning our future and master planning our campus. And we're going to be getting into boarding, which is a really big change in direction for us. But what it does is allows us to bring kids in from the other islands, from the mainland, from Canada, from China. We're looking at developing high-performance golf and tennis programs. So we have a pretty ambitious plan, and we have great people supporting us. So you can look forward to Maui Prep going through a major growth phase here over the next 5 years or so. It's a very fun and exciting time.
It really is great. I mean, it will be interesting to see how they work it all out. You know, Lahainaluna has always had a boarding program that's been really great for the kids that have utilized that. And I think it is primarily Hawaii kids. I think there have been very few mainland kids that have ever utilized the program, but I think what they're planning at Maui Prep will be amazingly interesting for all of us as we see it happen.
Yep.
Well, Dino, what about a little real estate here?
Oh, real estate,
You know,
that's
you
right.
had some statistics we were talking about. What have you got to
Well,
us out there?
You know, as usual, I'm always watching those statistics very carefully, and you know, Maui is actually going through a pretty strong phase here. We're clearly in a very positive upward trend. If you look at the results for the end of August, it's pretty interesting to see that you know, we've had some good success, as I mentioned. As far as residential, Maui homes are up by, the number of sales at least are up by 11%, and the average sale price is up by 12%. It's a strong year so far this year. Maui condominiums sales were up by 6%, the average sale price up by 18%. That is one of the biggest numbers we've seen in a long time. Land sales, which have been lagging somewhat, also up by 30%, and the average sale price is up by 14%. You know, as I mentioned, those are really strong numbers. This is the first time in 5 years that all of these categories have shown strong upward trends, and we're pretty excited about it. It's early progress, but clearly heading in the right direction. There's no question about that.
You know, one of the things that is going to help us all in the real estate market here is that tourism keeps going up and up. So I think our visitor count is higher than it's been for a long time. Visitor spending is higher. So again, I think a lot of the people here are going to be making more money because obviously a lot of the jobs are in the tourism industry. The room rate in the hotels across the island are definitely up. Occupancy is up. And I think what people are able to do here just gets better and better every year. But I think that is going to help with so many things. I think we are going to see more people able to come over here that want to have a child in a prep school like Maui Prep and are going to be able to move here that for the last many years were not able to do that because they wouldn't commit to any of the schools. You know, and a lot of those people do want to live in West Maui because it's what they know. They come, they visit all the time. But I think we are going to see some great things, and I think the rise in prices and the number of sales, etc., partially has something to do with the fact that tourism is so up.
No question. Tourism is critical to our entire economy, obviously, but it's also really important for real estate. Most of our buyers originate in a hotel at some point. They don't already live here. You know, they stay in hotels, they eventually graduate to condos, and they spend more and more time, and every year they come back, they're more likely to consider purchasing. You know, and things like schools are a really important part of the consideration. I know for us, you know, we were able to draw in 42 new kids to our school this year. It's a school of 200 kids. You know, so 40 new kids every year coming into this island meaning that their family is moving over here. And Maui Prep has been a good introduction for them to the island. School is obviously a very important consideration. Our public schools get such a bad rap through the media that everyone comes over with a sort of gated opinion of our schools. You know, both Betty and I are big supporters of Lahainaluna, and we know a bunch of kids that go there, and my son's friends that go there, and I think it's a great option. You know, unfortunately, it gets a little bit of a bad rap when you see the results in the media, and people moving to the mainland are clearly paying attention to that. But I think you're right. Tourism is critical. It introduces people to our island, and it results ultimately in people moving over here. People that could live anywhere in the world, and you know, internet-based businesses or retired are looking for places like Maui to come and live, and they're choosing lifestyle.
Well, I agree with you on the Lahainaluna High School thing, and it is worth saying. okay, maybe it isn't the same academic record as you would have at a Maui Preparatory Academy, but I think that it is a great school. I think there's great teachers. I think the sports programs are fabulous. I think what the kids get out of it personally in pride of school, etc., I think are very amazing things. There was a Lahainaluna Baldwin game recently in Wailuku. There were over 8,000 people there. We tried to get to the game. We could never find a parking space, and we finally gave up. I mean, not just there, we drove all around. We could have walked. You know, I said finally, why don't we just go to the airport, park, and take a taxi back? But I gotta say, we got lazy and didn't do that. But the games are fabulous, the kids have a ball, and I think that it is a great school. And I think academically, there's some great scholarship programs that the kids are getting when they go on to college. A pretty large number of the kids go on to college. I think at Maui Prep, everyone went to college except one person who had a professional athlete plan in place. So, but at Lahainaluna, a large number of the kids are going on to school. I think it's probably a little more difficult. I don't think they're quite as prepared as the other kids, but I think you're right. It's a great alternative. It's a good school, Dean.
Yeah, I think it depends on the kids and what their ambitions are. You know, we always tell people that we try to get kids into the best fit for a college. Excuse me. The college that best fits the students, and you know, not everyone's going to Harvard, and you know, that's fine. You know, we lose a lot of kids at Maui Prep every year to Lahainaluna because they want to be able to play the sports, and they want to be a part of a larger social experience and go to you know, large events and dances, and there's a social aspect to the school that I think is really important in the development of a child. And you know, as I say, we lose kids every year to Lahainaluna because of it. And I don't think it's a Lahainaluna Maui Prep thing too. I think it's great to have an alternative. Seabury, I think, is another good example of how you can have a private school thrive in a community like Maui, because that's a very, very well supported school as well.
Absolutely. Well, I think, you know, a couple of things. I don't know that we have time to get into all sorts of specific listings, but a couple of things that I think are important right now is that mortgages are still amazingly great. And we all know that that isn't going to go on forever, so we should really be paying attention. I think one of the things I haven't said so far is that you can call us at Sakamoto Properties at 808-669-0070. Check out our website at sakamotoproperties.com. Our hashtag is Betty Radio. So you can check us out on any of these different methods, and we can get information back to you. But mortgages, I think, are key. We would like you to be talking to a lender sooner than later. And I think whether you're working with us or working with somebody else, if you have even a glimmer of trying to buy something in the next year, you've got to be on it right now. So again, call us, 808-669-0070. You can ask for Dean Otto or Betty Sakamoto or any of our agents that happen to be there. But I still think, Dean, people are missing out. You know, people that are here, residents that need to buy a place, or the visitor. We've had some amazing people recently that have come here for the last 10 to 30 years and are suddenly all over the idea of it's time, and they've seen it go up and they've seen it come down, and they're watching it now just as it is edging back up at maybe too quick a rate. So they're getting on it today.
No, you're right. Interest rates are a major factor. When you consider the impact of a higher rate on your mortgage over 30 years or however long you own a property, it's clearly one of the biggest factors that you should be considering. And even the rates have ticked up just slightly, they're still very low. And you know, I think it's certainly a great opportunity, especially when you consider that inventories are down, sales are up, prices are up, and rates are low. I mean, that really is ultimately the ideal situation to be buying a property. I think that, you know, good question is, you know, what's driving the recovery here? And it's been an interesting recovery because even though we're seeing progress, we have such limited inventory that we're having a hard time really realizing progress just because we don't have enough churning in the market to be able to drive the pricing any further. So it's an interesting time. The market is clearly being driven by a reduction in inventory, which is causing this market to edge up a little bit. And I was just looking at some of the statistics. If you're looking at inventories, which I think is probably the key to anticipating a market, is to watch inventories. You know, by the time we're showing increases in prices, it's sort of too late. But if you're someone that tries to anticipate the market, you pay careful attention to inventory. You know, right now, when you look at remaining inventory or the absorption rates, for residential real estate on Maui, we have a remaining inventory of 7.4 months. 2 years ago in 2011, it was 10.4 months. Right now for condominiums, we have 6.7 months of remaining inventory, and 2 years ago we had 13 months. It's almost twice as long, twice as much inventory. For vacant land, right now we have about 16 months of remaining inventory. 2 years ago we had 48 months of remaining inventory. So you can see that there's been this dramatic reduction in you know, the amount of inventory currently available. Those are really, really low inventory rates, and typically we wouldn't see such low rates until much further into the cycle. So it's somewhat limiting for us, but it does to me mean that, you know, it's time to get active in the market, because you're not going to have as many options to choose from as you would have had typically in a market like this.
You know, Dean, one of the things that is being talked about is the very best time to buy is when you actually hit a market that's starting to rise. You know, that you don't want to go into a market that might be more like, let's say, Las Vegas, I think even Arizona, although that may be changing now too. Some of those markets where it's still pretty flat or it's way down, it looks like it's really inexpensive. Yeah, that would be a great place to buy, but not so. The economists say that the time you really want to step in and buy is when on the market you can actually see it starting to come up again, because it will keep going. You know, you don't want to step into a market that's at the bottom and may never even start to budge up again for the next 3 or 4 years. So again, the time is now. Give us a call, 808-669-0070.
And if you think about it, you know, trying to target the bottom of the market really is impossible, because you would have to get beyond the bottom to look back and go, oh, there was bottom. So, you know, it's impossible to predict. And I think that typically you want to see some improvement in the market before you jump in. And that means that you're not the only one out there buying. And, you know, there's a comfort to knowing that everyone else is in the market and it's active again and things are progressing. As I say, the ideal time is slight progress. And I think that's where we are right now.
I think so too. We're at that point. We're seeing progress. Things are starting. Good time. Get in there.
And the other thing that I think is really important to note, and I think it's really a great statistic to talk about, is the reduction in the number of distressed sales in the market. And if you looked at 2011 again, you see that for residential sales in 2011, 45% of the sales were either short sales or bank-owned sales, which is unbelievable. That's 45%. Right now, that's down to 23%, and that's 2 years later, so there's a pretty big reduction there. Also, condominiums have seen a huge change in distressed sales. They were at 34% in 2011, and right now we're down to 11.2%. So part of the progress is eliminating the distress from the market, and I think that's clearly taking place.
It has. You know, believe it or not, Dean, we are at the 1-minute warning. I always love that. I think of it as a football game. So I think we're going to end up here. Danny Couch is going to be coming back on. But call us. I mean, one of the reasons we're here is for real estate. We want to sell some of our listings or help you find the property of your dreams, whether it's our listing or someone else's. So call us, 808-669-0070. Ask for Dean Otto, ask for Betty Sakamoto, or talk to whoever our agent is that happens to be in the office. But let us help you. And we want you to have a place. We got Danny Couch back here. And I do love Hawaii, so I'm a Danny Couch supporter. He wrote that too, if nobody knows that. Danny
Aloha,
Couch.
Betty.
Aloha, Dean.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.